Oh, I was gonna say I did get the email saying
We
that
are
we had a
live, by the
call.
way. Hello, gang. I think there's one person, only one person watching right now. I know it'll fill up a little bit later on here, but two people watching. Can you guys give us a 5x5? Let us know you can hear us okay before we get started. You guys who are watching right now on YouTube. And hello to everyone, by the way, and welcome to the live stream. And today is Friday, October 1st, 2021. Hey, it's Michelle. Hey there. Okay. I'm assuming you can hear okay, Michelle. Okay. All right. Let's see, Michelle. 5x5. Okay, Casey Rich. 5x5. Excellent. Okay, gang. We'll go ahead and get it started. Tonight, by the way, we're back on YouTube. There will be no more discussions on this channel about certain things because YouTube will shut the channel down if we do that. And I'm afraid to say that, but we'll have those other discussions on other platforms. Tonight's discussion really doesn't have anything to do with that particular topic. I don't even want to use code words anymore. We're going to be talking about people running for local offices. Now, we have representation on here from Missouri and California both. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. Why good people don't run for office. Why, other people do run for office. We're going to discuss all those things and how easy it is for someone to win local office in a small town. And in bigger towns, it gets more difficult. Casey Rich and I had a conversation about that, as a matter of fact, last night. So, okay, and we have with us right now, we have the American Free Press. That's Alex actually running the California Freedom Alliance. And then we have Scott also from Columbia. So anyone can come into the Discord and join the chat if you want to. You're always welcome to do so. So Alex, let me turn it over to you real quick. Let's have you start by talking about the fact that we really do need good people running for office.
Oh yeah, so hello everyone. My name is Alexander. Hi, Patrick and Scott. So yeah, we definitely need good people to run for office because one of the major problems we're facing here in America is, as Patrick already said, good people don't seem to want to run for office because either they don't want the responsibility or they feel they may become corrupt and they view politicians as dirty. And that's one of the main reasons why, unfortunately, it seems like power hungry people and people who want to go into politics for the bad reason end up being our politicians because we just don't have any good people to run. Even George Washington, the first president of the United States, didn't really want to be president. He had to be persuaded to become president, but he felt it was his duty to become president for various different reasons. So, one of the main reasons of this video we're making today is to get people to run for local government and state government. And the reason why we want people to run for these government positions is so that we can start to change America for the better. So we can make California more free and also Missouri and all the other states in the union. And that's our main goal. Because unfortunately, there's a lot of different counties, especially in California where I live, that are very conservative counties that voted to recall Gavin Newsom. But they're controlled by Democrat or liberal majorities or Rhino Republicans. At my county, for instance, where I live in California, is controlled by three liberals, even though we voted by over 23% to recall Gavin Newsom. And I believe the reason why that is because basically no good people chose to run, unfortunately. And that's a major problem we faced in our county. And here's one interesting thing I would like to tell everyone. So, what we have in California, at least for county government, our counties are controlled by something called a board of supervisors. So, it's effectively five people controlling a county, at least for my county. And it's basically the same way for all the counties in California. So, a three-person vote is a majority in a county. So if you have three people and everyone who's good and who's willing to run for public office and win, you effectively can control the county and make it a more freer place for however large your county is. So I think there's quite a few counties in California. There's more than 30. There's more than 35. I think there's around 50. Something I'll have to look that up. make sure for sure though. Maybe Patrick can look that up, see how many counties are in California. But basically, all you need is 3 good people to change the face of a county, to make it a good county, a good constitutional county, and to stop all these mandates coming out of Washington, D.C. and Sacramento. I'm not sure what Missouri's position is exactly, but Patrick could tell us a little bit more about that. But at least in California, Gavin Newsom has been making a lot of serum mandate requirements in the public schools that we've been seeing. He's been the first governor to declare that you must get the serum to go to public school or private schools if you want to attend school in person. He leaves it up to the counties, though, whether they enforce it or not, and the local governments. So that's really the power of local governments, because if the local government doesn't enforce it, they really have no power over your local area. So that's one really big, important thing to consider. So kind of what me and Patrick were talking about, we need to so our local governments first, our small communities, our counties, get rid of corruption in our counties, and then move further and start getting rid of corruption in our state, and then finally the federal government. We need good people to run to change things. So say there's 50 counties in California, for instance. I think there's a little bit more than that, but I'm not exactly sure. We'll look that up. So say if there's 3 good people to change the county, to change the county government for the better, well, that only takes 150 people to change California for the better. 150 people to run and try to win an election to fix our state. And that's all it takes. And that's all we need. We don't even need that many people to change this thing. It just takes a few brave people who are willing to do the work and trying to protect our freedoms. Because basically what happens, everyone, is when good people do nothing, evil will triumph. It's basically, you can have 1 million good voters, and they're really good. You know, they vote to recall Gavin Newsom, or they vote for lower taxes or whatever. But if not a single one of those 1 million people is willing to run for public office, and there's 2 bad people running and no good people to run against them, well, unfortunately, when good people do nothing, your whole state is going to go to the dogs. It's going to go into communism. And that's the problem we've been seeing in America. There's plenty of good people who could run, have the ability to run, but they're not for some of the various reasons. So that's one of the reasons why we're doing this video, so hopefully some people excited about fixing their county government for the better. I don't know if you would like to say a little bit of things about Missouri, Patrick.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to agree with what you said. We think about the state level all the time, and sometimes we forget about the local level. And if you have really good people at your local level, you have nothing to worry about. If you know there are issues, there's corruption within your city or county, and these positions are opening up due to an election, we do need good, let's say conscientious, constitutionally minded people to take those positions. And like I said, now this can get complicated. It's easier in smaller towns to get, a nobody elected, someone who doesn't have what we would call political DNA. And it's easier to do that as opposed to a town, in a small town, 3, 4, 5,000 folks. A county of maybe 30, 40,000. And by the way, we have counties like that here in Missouri. But when you're talking about a city of 150, 250,000 people or more, it's a little more difficult. So we understand this. However, we do need really, really good, conscientious, value-driven people to actually run for office. And I think that that definitely is a qualification as far as running for office should always be, but we know the reality is oftentimes very different. So, and it doesn't matter. We're talking about from your local mayor all the way up to state senator. We're going to try and give you a good argument tonight because we know the arguments against, and Alex and I will play a, devil's advocate thing, basically on why good people don't want to run for office. So we can cover that as well. But as far as Missouri goes, We're pretty lucky. We're pretty fortunate. We do have corruption here, there's no doubt. But we also have an awful lot of good people in office, too. So it balances out towards good in Missouri. Now, clearly, Alex's situation in California is different. It doesn't necessarily balance out towards good because Gavin Newsom is running amok. And he's doing a lot of different things that a governor shouldn't be doing. Now, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, you're definitely right, Patrick. The state government is very corrupt. But just look. One thing I would advise everybody to do if they have the chance, please take a look at your county budget. Actually, read your county budget because I was looking, at my county budget for the first time for a small county, and there is so many things, so many unneeded things that we need in that county budget. It's unbelievable, and how many hundreds of millions of dollars.
Alex, are you there?
Well, which is pretty scary to do business. You have to pay an extra $35 or something in the county, just another way to make more money, I guess. And we're just seeing this across the board in my county, which is supposed to be a conservative county. So, it's great, for people to say that their county is great, but I would really challenge everybody to look at their budget to see if it's actually fiscally responsible. Because unfortunately, even among conservative counties, the budgets they're not balanced budgets, the vast majority of them, and that's a really sad fact. But corruption comes from the bottom up. If you have a corrupt county, you're going to have a corrupt state, and further, they may espouse conservative ideas, and there's people who do double talk. They say conservative things, you think they're very conservative, but at the same time, you're not checking the county budget, and they're just increasing taxes, and they're just having all these new unneeded things in the budget. So that's one thing. If all of you could do is just look at your county budget and your city budget and see how many unneeded things there actually is just in your county budget, and try to look at the corruption in your county. I think that's really one thing everybody can do. To see, their county.
Okay, sorry about that. I had to take a quick phone call here. Uh, I once again, guys, this is the point now where I literally have to ask all of you, those of you who have ever thought for running for office before, and by the way, it doesn't matter if it's mayor, if it's city council member, school board member, even that's an office as well, and that also, has you can do a certain amount of good there as well. What Alex and I are really saying is it's time for good people to actually run for office, even though they have been reluctant to do so. There's a lot of bad things happening right now, and it's happening at a country level, certainly at a state level, and in many cases, county and city level too. But how do you, fix all the issues we have in America right now? How do you fix those issues? Do you continue trying to pound those butt clowns, basically in D.C. with asking them to do the right thing? Or do you just fix your own backyard? You clean up your own backyard and then build up from there. You fix your city, then you fix your county, then you fix your state. And then states that are fixed and have, let's just say, less corruption, or let's hope for the best here. No corruption. States can then go after the federal government and clean up the federal government. This is the best way to do it. This is really the only way to do it. And we have to be united in this regard. The states need to be united in this regard. This is how you do it. And by the way, guys, there's all kinds of help online. For those of you who have never run for office before, I have never run for office. So, caveat. Alex has never run for office. I don't believe Scott has run for office. I don't believe Joe Mama has run for office. I don't believe Liberty Revolutionary has run for office. But it can be done. Basically join your local Republican group. That's the way you'll have to do it. Even if you think of yourself as a libertarian, if you think of yourself as a Constitution Party guy,
Well, I was just gonna say, I think at the county level, I think you can still run as an independent and win. When you get a state government, I definitely agree. But if you want to run as an independent and you feel you don't want to run uh, with the Republican Party, run as an independent if you feel that's what you want to do. Uh, and I was wondering, Patrick, is there any way you could get the Clever County budget on screen just as an exercise to show how it looks
I will.
like?
I will try.
Okay. Because then I think that'll be a good example, just picking, a random county to see
That's
what
a
their
city.
budget.
That's actually it's a town.
Oh, okay, the city of Clever. Okay.
Hey Pat, I was just dropping in to say hi real quick before I took off. I was supposed to be on earlier, but yeah, I've been busy today.
Okay, gotcha. Hey there, Joe Mama. Okay, it looks like the Clever's budget is $502,000.
I don't think they're on, but
Hey there, Jen.
hey guys, we're going out to dinner. You guys are ahead of us, so hour-wise, we'll be back in a bit.
Okay, understood. Okay. A California High Desert Preacher, also known as American Man, hello. And I am not running for office. There is no intentions for me to run for office at this time, and I'll explain that here in this video. That is a good question. I'm asked a lot, and I'll explain my reasons why. But I don't want that to discourage other people. And once you understand or hear my explanation, you know, I think it makes a lot more sense to a lot of people once it's actually explained properly. However, yeah, thank you, Michelle. But I think at this point in time, it's time for many of us, and guys, I know a lot of you. I've met some of you in many cases personally. And I think it's time for us to literally, as a group, the Missouri Liberty Alliance, there's a lot of folks in this group that are very smart people, very conscientious people, very constitutionally minded people. I think it might be a good idea for some of you to actually consider the possibility, at least consider the possibility of running for an office. And now, to answer your question, Alex, Clever's budget is $500,000 a year.
Okay, so do you want to look into it at depth, or do you want to look at Christian County or Tuolumne County? Let's
Okay.
just pick something and just pick through it, just as an exercise to
Okay.
show all the what's that word when there's a lot of bad stuff in a budget. I forget the word, but
No, we don't have time in this to start picking apart the budgets.
well, just to show as an exercise though what the budget looks like though.
Okay. Let's see. Christian County budget. It's a lot more. And it's a lot of spreadsheet data. Hopefully it just gives me a grand total. Gosh darn it. This thing is huge.
How many pages is it, Patrick?
130 pages.
And how many people live in your county?
85,000, I believe.
Wow.
And they're showing estimated any cash balance. That's not it. Gosh darn it, Alex. No, I didn't expect this. I don't know how to find the exact. I don't have time to go through this whole document. But we're talking tens of millions, for Christian County budget, I'm sure.
Well, I was just looking at my budget for my county as an example, earlier, and I just saw a lot of really unnecessary things, just scrolling in it, really quickly.
Well, that'd be nullification. If you get into an office, you can actually start cutting off the fat, basically from a county, from a city. And at the state level, here in Missouri, for those of you who are in Missouri, we're very fortunate here in the Senate and in the House. We do have committees for downsizing government. Yeah, so, basically, I think that's important that states have this. So, yeah, let's see. Oh, Michelle, she ran for 2 terms on your city board of trustees. Let's see. People you wanting running for office are those you don't want to, like my husband. Yep. The people that actually go in and do the good work. So,
Yeah,
go ahead.
exactly.
Yep. So Rabbit Coyote says he has about 20,000 for a population in his county. So Rabbit Coyote, just by default. And hello to John, by the way, and I saw Nevada Cario in here as well. Pika. Hello, Pika. That's a good example of a place where you could actually, probably win some type of election in a population that size. And we can talk about this later. We don't need to get into the specifics of how to run a campaign on this particular podcast. I think that might be a better idea for, a closed group inside of Discord, because you don't want to give all your strategies away. But let it be known now, and by the way, this is how AOC did it. You can actually run a campaign that is largely, let's just say 80% on social media. That's not a joke. Very little public appearances. You can do most of your campaigning right on social media. And most of them do, by the way. Most of them do an enormous amount of campaigning in social media. Remember now, AOC was running for representative out of New York City. She wasn't running around doing speeches. They had, videos made of her to promote her that they were running on social media. That's how she got elected. Sounds like I'm making up a joke, but I'm not. But this needs to happen in every state. This isn't just for Missouri. We don't, I guess what we have to say is people have to break through now. Real good people need to actually run for office, and they need to be aggressively running for office. We need to get people that are not necessarily good people, or people who are just occupying space and not getting any good work done. Those people need to be knocked out of office. Now, if you have a good mayor, if you have a great county commissioner, if you have a wonderful sheriff, then everything's fine where you live. That's fortunate. But look real hard into that, because usually that's not the case. I live in Christian County. We have corruption here. We actually do in Christian County. And I'm not going to go any further into that right now, but I've talked very vocally about Brad Cole, my sheriff in Christian County. He was against SEPA. And he was against SEPA for all the wrong reasons. He was worried about not being able to use federal charge codes. He was worried about federal money. So in other words, he literally is for trading in my Second Amendment rights for his conveniences. Now, if he's worried about, Missouri charge codes versus federal charge codes, we can change that law in the state of Missouri. But he wasn't even willing to have that discussion. The answer for him was no. SEPA can't happen this way. So, and we're going to do a live stream about SEPA really, really soon. I'm thinking I may end up being at, I'm going to Travis's meeting, for those of you who are asking the questions in the live chat. So Travis's meeting is Sunday. It's in Texas County, and I may be speaking. I just got an email from Travis and said he mentioned that there's an opening for a speaker, which he did not expect. And so at any rate, I'll think about it, and I'll think if I have anything to say right now. But chances are I'll probably do a little bit of speaking there. And we may talk about SEPA and what I know about what's going on with it so far, and what we can do to, prevent the governor and the legislature from trying to literally start to cut away at SEPA. This was the original intention Jimmy and I had for starting this alliance, was to safeguard SEPA. So it was really kind of our mission to make sure, because Eric Burleson wasn't going to be there forever. Jared Taylor wasn't going to be there forever. We always knew that there would be a threat against SEPA, coming from other players. And it looks like we're going to have to work on that and make sure. But that it could, once again, we're getting hit with a lot of things here, in Missouri. So we're going to be very busy this legislative season, and we're going to need everyone's help. But I'm also wondering if some of you could consider those of you who are interested in doing it, please do run for some kind of office. And we can work on strategies and things of that nature, basically separately, not necessarily, in a live stream. So we
And
can go ahead.
how many counties are in Missouri, Patrick?
123.
Okay, so in 123 counties, there's probably about, I don't know, 3 leftist counties.
Hmm.
I assume 3. So 120 times 3 is 360. So all it takes is 360 people from the alliance to effectively change the state and to make it more free.
Yes, I agree. And once again, when it happens on the local level, it's a beautiful thing. Suddenly, if you've got, a lot of righteous people in all the towns in a county, suddenly the county's having a difficult time being corrupt anymore. And then you just replace the corrupt people in the county. Corrupt means a lot of things to a lot of different people, so I don't want to specify what I mean by that. But what I thought I would do, basically Alex, as graciously, agreed to, basically be in this live stream. And I thought maybe we could, together explore the reasons why good people don't run for office, what the reasons are. And there's plenty of them. And there's, but once again, we got to break through this somehow. And that's something that Alex and I both agree on. Every single state needs really good people, conscientious, value-driven, constitutionally minded people running for offices on every level in their local area, in their local states. And so before we get started here, let's see, I had in here, you want the SEPA live stream. We'll be doing the SEPA live stream probably early this coming up week, Gabriel. So that's coming. Let's see. What about recalling the governor? Is that feasible? Matt Perry, that's a nuclear option. I mean, that's right before the double nuclear option of secession. So, and I'll explain why in our SEPA live stream, why it's not necessarily a good option right now. But we can recall the governor. Yes, that is feasible. It can be done, but it will take time. Let's see, get involved. Liberty means responsibility. That's why most men dread it. That's right. Freedom and responsibility are on the opposite sides of the same coin. If you want freedom, you have to accept responsibility. So thank you for that, John. Let's see, I just have concerns about legitimacy of the system on how corrupt people are. Just don't want to relinquish their power. Yes, they don't, but at the same time, there are ways to actually usurp them. And we'll talk about that in strategy sessions, guys, but not necessarily on live streams. Let's see, time for rhino hunting. That's exactly right, Matthew Perry, and that is the right attitude. Okay. So people have asked me multiple times. So I'm going to be on the hot seat, guys. I'm not, and I need to be on the hot seat because I've been asked by so many people to run for office, and I've repeatedly said no. I'm going to give you very specific reasons as to why I have not run for office. I've thought about it. I mean, I'm sure many of you have thought about it too. But if I did not start up this alliance, chances are I would probably run for an office. I have this really, really big gut feeling that if I don't stay with the alliance, won't succeed. That is the primary reason. It's as important to me as the work Ron Calzone does with MissouriFirst.org, which is building up the grassroots of, let's just say, liberty-minded people. That's the purpose of Ron's organization. That's the purpose of this organization. And now, Ron's organization is not based in social media, not really. So we fill a need that, basically was not there before. Now, there is basically, gosh darn it, they've renamed themselves. It was Right Side Moms. They are now Make Missouri Great Again. So there is that organization as well. Now there's 3 of us. But we're all kind of focusing on different areas. So the reason I don't want to run for office is I am more interested in basically getting grassroots going in the state of Missouri, getting people active, so that we can actually start fighting off corruption within the government. That's where I feel I am best, let's just say I feel that it's the best position for me to be in right now. So there are other reasons I have not run for office in the past, and that's because I have been, and this is where I'm going to tread very carefully. I have done a lot of government work in my life. And so that puts me in a different position. I'm talking about local government work, an IT guy for government, sheriff's offices, 911 centers, police departments, prosecutors' offices, courts. And I'm not comfortable in most of those environments. Some of them I'm very comfortable in. There's some good people out there. There's good sheriffs out there. There's actually good police chiefs out there too. But that's not the case all of the time. And I'm not comfortable in many of those government environments, to be honest with you. In fact, I've been fired from government environments before because I've been a whistleblower. And it seems like the nice guy, like me, I go in, I do my job, and something, and I'm not going to be specific, something, because it's happened at multiple locations for different reasons, something happens, I raise awareness by going to someone about it, and before long, I've lost my job, and the corrupt people get to stay there. And so I am not giving you an argument for against running for office. If there were good people in office,
You're
You
right.
know.
You're right, Patrick. That really shows, the corruption just on the county level.
yep, county and city both.
And one thing I found pretty interesting, Patrick, is it's actually very easy to get rid of a county or city official in Missouri. It only takes 25% of the vote to recall an elective official
Yep.
or government. So I found that it's actually a lot easier than I thought to get rid of somebody bad.
Yep. So that's so I'm making a point that if there were good people in those cities and in those counties where I was a whistleblower, I wouldn't have lost my job. They would have actually been appreciative of the information I brought to their attention, and actually corrected the problem. But what they did is they swept the problem under the rug and fired me. And if we had good people in these places, stuff like that couldn't happen. And but that's happened to me on more than one occasion. In fact, I can think of five separate occasions where I lost my job because I tried to do the right thing in a county when I found problems, and that's the way I was done. So, at any rate, we could continue on with the arguments against, but I don't think it's necessary at that point. I've explained why I personally don't think that I'm a good person to run for office at this time. And I appreciate everyone who wants me to run for office. I do appreciate it, and I've gotten it from a lot of people. And Alex himself wants to run for office, but hopefully we get some of us in the alliance actually wanting to run for office. It's like I said, guys, there will be help, resource help, basically from the internet. And I'm sure from the Republican Party, we have to. And by the way, I want to say something here that Matt Perry said. He says, here in Oregon, the Dems have used sleeper agents who run as Republicans and then vote Democrat when elected. How about using the tactics against them in the blue counties? That is correct, Matt. That is what they're doing. Actually, more specifically, the Democrats were infiltrated by communists. And communists and socialists, and this has been happening for decades. And here in the state of Missouri, quite the opposite is happening. We have people who are more libertarian-minded, going in wearing Republican suits. So we have that going on here, but on the opposite side. But this needs to happen everywhere, gang. And the only problem is, of course, no one knows who your true stripes are, but we have a way of dealing with that in the Alliance. We're actually creating surveys that we will send out to everyone who's running for office, and it doesn't matter what office in the state of Missouri. In that way, the Missouri Liberty Alliance can vet them. And I do believe Alex is going to do that in California as well. So that's what. Go ahead. Go ahead, Alex. Did you have something?
Oh, I was just saying you're right.
So we get good people running for office, and we vet those who are running for office if we don't know the people. So we get a survey, we get them to answer the survey, we hold their feet to the fire. That's basically how it works. And we're going to ask very pointed questions. And those who do not return surveys, we will be taking a note of that as well. We will collect these surveys, and then we will vet every single office, basically in the state of Missouri. Hundreds of elections, gang. And we'll cover every city, every county, every district, for a state office. We'll cover it all. Go ahead, Alex.
One thing I'd just like to add really quick, Patrick, is, it does seem that there's a lot of elected officials paper.
Yeah.
But to hold them really accountable, I think what we need to do is to have them on video, first of all, discussing what's on that paper, and them agreeing to sign the paper, and then have it on video so they're actually accountable. Because I've noticed, a lot of, even just, county officials, even small county officials think they're, this really important person, and they can't even talk to you, on a video or anything. So I think that's one way to show additional accountability. What do you think, Patrick?
It is, but we need lots and lots of people doing that. We're talking about hundreds of people running for elected office in 2022. And we'd have to run around and get a minimum of probably 5 or 6 people a day. Logistically, that's a very difficult thing to do, Alex. Logistically. I suppose you could hit the major offices and actually video.
I was secretary here of Lane County in Oregon, and I do have to say I sent out those vettings, and they turn around and they lie. So even you can video them, you can ask them these questions, and in the end, you never know where they're going to fall when it comes to it, if they're bought somewhere or anything like that. And that's what we ran into here.
Yeah, I agree with you. Jen. And I think if that happens, I think, our alliances in California and Missouri need to automatically start a recall process whenever we see any politician who signs it or not.
Yep.
Do something like that. And that's the problem. There's very rarely a recall on a local official, like a county supervisor or anything. So they feel that they can just go behind people's backs and do whatever they want. So we need to hold these people's feet to the fire. And when we see someone do something like that, we just need to put in a recall. I think that's the solution, Jen, to that problem.
Yep, that would be a real good solution to the problem. So actually, I think one of the questions on the questionnaire should be, do you support a recall of someone who lies, basically on a survey to get into elected office? You should ask them that question. Yeah, that should be on the survey too. So let them know we mean business. So there are things we can do. And guys, we're not going to talk a whole lot about, SEPA and what's going on with that right now at this time. That'll probably be Monday or Tuesday night. We'll talk about that. And so this is really just about running for office. Originally, I'd slated to talk about this on October 15th, so we're a little bit early on this. But I think it's something a lot of people should consider, especially if you've considered it before. If you see corruption in your town, run against that person, that's corrupt in that town. It doesn't, and that's another thing too. There's a great argument against this by simply saying, well, gosh darn it, I literally don't know how to do that job. Everyone has to learn how to do that job when they get in. And that includes the people that run for office that are bad. They don't know how to do it either. They run in, they get elected, they figure out how they're going to do the job, and they figure out how they can be corrupt. And, so a good person can go in and get elected and figure out how to do the job and figure out how to do the right thing. So it's the same basic process. So this is very important, and it should happen really on your state level. And for those of you who are in different states that watch this now or watch this video later, please consider this. Libertarian-minded people, constitutionally minded people, we need you. It's time to step up. And on the local level is a perfect place to go. Absolutely perfect. So if you want to run for state representative, gosh darn it, guys. Jared Taylor, my representative, he didn't have a political office before he became a representative in the state of Missouri. He never held a political office. So he had a little bit of political DNA, but he never held an office before. So it is possible. People can literally Let's see. I would love to, but I'm terrified of public speaking. Ryan, you don't necessarily have to do a lot of public speaking, and and once again, it depends on the position and it depends on the size of the office. Like for instance, if you're becoming a mayor of a town of 2,000 people, if you ran for a position like that, there's not any public speaking really. That just doesn't happen. You might have to talk to your city council, and that's pretty much about it. So, and yeah, I'm nervous when I do public speaking too, by the way, Ryan. I'm very nervous when I have to speak in front of crowds, but somehow I find a way to muddle through.
Well, I heard the big secret, to winning a local election, at least, for not a huge amount of people, is just door knocking and meeting and talking to people face to face.
Sure.
And even if you don't have any political DNA, for a small election where you can actually meet all the people in your district, you can convince them to vote for you.
Yep.
If they like your message anyway.
Yep. Yep. So, yeah. That's, once again, strategies is something we can discuss, but there's a lot of different ways that you can effectively run a campaign, and in many cases with very little money. So, and there's nothing wrong with Ed Casey Rich puts in, the more you do it, the easier it gets. That is correct with public speaking. I agree. It actually does get easier the more you do it. So, but I still get nervous though, every time I do it. I'd be happy if we'd get to 2022 and still have elections. Things falling apart way too fast. Aurora, that's right. That's what we're trying to stop, is things literally just falling apart. The falling apart, and once again, this is a specific pod or a specific live stream right now, so I don't want to get into this, but the one thing that does have to happen in America, the dollar has to go. It has to go, and so does the digital dollar and any derivatives that the Federal Reserve comes out with. We need something else here for currency, for money. We need something that's not owned by a private bank. If the U.S. government wants to mint its own currency again, we'd have to consider that. But we're not doing that. We're using private banks. So, but that's a serious problem that we have here in this country. Let's see, as we have found from the last election, is corruption in the machines and counts. That is correct. That is also true, Michelle. However, I think things are happening in Missouri to prevent that from happening in Missouri again. I don't know a lot of detail on that, so I don't want to get into it right now. You guys can ask me in another live stream, perhaps in the SAPA live stream, what I know about that. But you guys know, a couple of weeks ago, I spent quite a bit of time up in Jeff City, and ran into some folks there that were doing election audits. So I got a lot of information out of those guys. So that's where the information comes from. So what are your guys' thoughts? Any of you thought of running for office before? Any of you seen corruption in your county or in your city that you've wanted to deal with? And Casey Rich has actually done a lot of work in the past actually helping people campaign, good people campaign for office. So he's been involved before on that level.
Yeah, I'm interested, in running possibly for some position. I'm just not exactly sure which one yet.
Mhm.
But yeah, for my county, for instance, Patrick, for every person in the county, our county, we pay $7.8 million for tree removal.
Mm-hmm.
That's $156 per person.
Mm-hmm.
Just on that alone, of the tree mortality program. And that seems really extravagant in my opinion. Just looking at the numbers, $156 per every person in this county. I don't know. What do you think of that, Patrick?
Yeah, I think people who want to burn wood for heat should be allowed to go out after the trees have been tagged, and they'll go out and cut them down themselves and cut them up and take the wood away. So, you got a solution to that problem right away. That happens here in Missouri. The power companies will come by and trim the trees. You'll see people pulling up with trailers, picking up all the wood they cut up, and taking it home, because they burn, wood during the summer, or it's during the winter, for their heat or hot water or what have you. So
Yeah, so
go ahead.
$156 each person is more than pretty extravagant.
Yeah, that is a lot of money. That is a lot of money. So, yeah, I don't think we have anything quite like that here in Missouri, but I've never our state budget, I have seen a book before that has our state budget before, and it's like a telephone directory from like Minneapolis. The thing is huge. You know, these budgets, I mean, it's just who can follow that stuff? Let's see, I can't speak publicly of my stance. Oh, no longer running on our city council. Okay, got you, Michelle. Let's see, they're doing that here right now. I have a huge pile of mulch now. Yep. Yeah, so yeah, the power companies basically are the ones who, power companies, utility companies, cut up the wood, and there's no extra charge for that. They go and cut up things that are threatening basically telephone lines and, you know, utility lines of some sort, power lines. So, all right, gang. Well, I just wanted to kind of plant the seed with you guys. If any of you had thought about running for office, and I know that people will be watching this after it's live, you know, in the coming weeks and months. I want you guys, even though you weren't live with us, please consider if you're a good person, you know, because we have bad people running for office all the time. And that's another thing. Let's talk about psychology for a second. Why do we have so many sociopaths and psychopaths and diabolical narcissists in public office? Well, because they can. They like control. They like power. So that's why people who are not big into control and power are generally very reluctant, you know, to take office. They're not craving that job. They don't want the headache of that job. They don't want to be around those kinds of people. I get it. But you see, that's the attitude that has kept bad people in office for so long. Because
And another thing, Pat, too, to add to what you're saying, I think another reason why people don't run for public office is because they're scared.
Okay.
They use fear against those people, like it's a too hard of a job, or the bad people might go after you or whatever. But you know, when it comes to at least county government, I think you're pretty, you know, safe. And you know, big question for me is when are we gonna take our country back? Because right now there's so many bad things happening right now. I don't see why someone wouldn't run for government or some other job to try to change things. But when our country is basically being destroyed from within from communism right now as we speak.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that famous quote: "When good men do nothing, you know, evil take over," and that's fortunately the truth, and that's happened across countless ages as well. History.
Yes, it has. So, you know, that's like I said, it's for everyone's consideration at that point. And, you know, it takes time, it takes effort, it takes strategy, you know, basically to run for some office. Some offices are very easy to win. You know, if you wanted to be on school council, you know, that's generally a pretty well attainable one if you have a good reputation in your community. That's really all it takes. You know, running for, you know, basically mayor of Springfield may take a little more maneuvering, but I think it's possibly doable. And if you're talking about, you know, running for a representative, you know, to the state of Missouri, once again, easily, it's a lot of shoe leather work. You know, you're knocking on doors, you're talking to people. But a lot of this stuff can be done online through social media as well. So, and also you can hold town halls, you know, basically or interviews or whatever. Even debates with your opponents you can do through social media. So you can always do that as well. But the ideas that you campaign on are very, very important. So you don't necessarily come in and say, well, here's actually, it sounds like a non-starter, but it actually works. If you have a mayor, you know, that you want to replace, you could just say, well, the mayor has the best job in the city, and I'd like to have that job too. I'm a constitutionally minded person. I will literally be working for the people. But you really do need a little bit more of a cause, you know, on top of that. And say, you know, we have a problem with traffic lights in our town. and we need to actually get something done with the traffic lights. Guys, I just use that as an example. But have a secondary cause. But be sure and start with it's the best job in the town, and I'd like to prove, to the people of the town that I can do it, and I can do a good job, and constitutionally minded person. I'm going to make sure that to the best of my ability that you keep all your rights, and I will not do anything to take away your rights. I don't want to say more than that because we keep getting shut down by YouTube when we go in that direction, but I think you guys understand what I mean by this. You can do a lot of good on the city level and a county level, stopping things that may take away people's rights. You can actually work in that direction. Another thing is to run for sheriff. Now, there's requirements in the state of Missouri, and I do believe you have to be 27 years old or younger to go through the police academy in the state of Missouri, and you have to have been through the academy to run for sheriff. That's like the only requirement. You don't even have to be, having a job in law enforcement to run for sheriff. You just have to have gone through the police academy. I believe that's the case. So also, you don't have to have gone through the police academy if you've previously been in the military. So that actually satisfies the requirement if you've been in the military. So we need good sheriffs too. God almighty, do we need good sheriffs in Missouri? We have some bad ones here, gang. We have some bad ones.
I think there's the reason why there's so many bad sheriffs too, Patrick, is because of that requirement, because they make it hard for just the common people to run for sheriff.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
The same as well.
Yep.
Let's just try to make like an example though, Patrick. So how would someone go about recalling a corrupt local politician? How would you go about that? Just for an example for people who have corrupt county politicians and want to get rid of them.
Okay, the first thing I do is find out what the requirements are to actually get it done. And usually what it is a petition and a certain amount of signatures based on the last election. So let's say you want to get rid of let's throw out, you want to get rid of your county prosecutor because there's corruption there. Well, what you'd have to do is find out what the requirements are in your state for the percentage of how many people voted in the last election, general election, for your county. And it would be a percentage of that number you'd have to get on signatures to be able to put on a ballot to do a recall. And that's, I think the process is very similar in every state. But that's, I believe, how you do it. But that's the first thing I would do is find out what the requirements are. Activate a grassroots movement. So all that, running around and getting signatures can be spread across, multiple areas, multiple people, and actually get it done that way.
I know a corrupt sheriff can be recalled, correct, Patrick?
Yes, it's possible. Yes, it is. Or they can be arrested. Like my old sheriff, Joey Kyle. He was arrested and prosecuted and went to prison. So that's another way of getting rid of a bad sheriff.
Seems like hard, though.
Yeah, it was. Because that was the second time the FBI investigated him because they botched the first investigation. Voodoo Queen says, do you have a list of bad sheriffs? Voodoo, we do not. Because sheriffs weren't basically respond. If you remember, when we were actually running the campaign for SEPA, we were asking sheriffs to email Ron Calzone. Whether they supported or they were against SEPA. And they were not playing ball. So basically we do not have a list. However, there are some known bad sheriffs that were vocally against SEPA. Brad Cole, the sheriff of Christian County, was one of them. Now, Sheriff Arnott changed his mind shortly after I put out a video with the Talk Junkies, actually. It may be a coincidence, but shortly after I put out a video with the Talk Junkies talking about Sheriff Arnott in Greene County, he changed his mind publicly on SEPA and said he was for it. He said that the Senate had done enough to satisfy his requirements, for SEPA to be a good bill. That's what he said publicly. But the fact of the matter is, it just happened to be, a few days after my Talk Junkie video was released. So, all right, gang. Well, I won't keep this live stream going on forever. And as always, I will go ahead and stay here in Discord for an additional half an hour after we stop the live stream. Those of you who did not want to be a part of the live stream but do want to talk about it, so we'll be here and you guys can talk with us a little bit. So if you guys have any further questions or comments, throw them in right now. And we do have more live streams coming up now that we got the channel back up and running again from YouTube. But I'm going to ask you guys start subscribing to Odyssey and also to, oh gosh darn it, what's the other one called? Rumble. Because those are two platforms that we'll be able to stream on soon, so that we can start talking about other things again. We can't talk about these things on YouTube, gang. I can't have the channel continually taken down all the time. So we'll have to talk about those subjects on the other channels.
Hey, Rich, did you say you wanted to run for public office?
KC, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, Alex was asking if you wanted to run for public office.
No.
Okay.
I'm. I've got other projects I'm getting ready to work on.
Yep, gotcha. And thank you, Michelle. And blessings to you too. Okay, gang. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll wrap it up here. But once again, we'll be in the Discord for about the next half hour. Anyone wants to come in and talk about the subject. So what's coming up? What's the next thing? Tomorrow, or not tomorrow, Sunday, I'll be at Travis's meeting in Texas County, Missouri. So those of you who go to Travis's meeting, I'll be there. Also, Monday or Tuesday night, we'll do another live stream with an update on basically what Parson has been saying about SEPA. So we're going to have a discussion about that as well. We can't talk about anything of the other subject that we've talked about in the past. So we'll try and keep that to just discussions in Discord, recorded, and then posted on other platforms, because YouTube is persecuting people now. And we have to be careful of that. So that's what's coming up next. But I want to thank Alex for joining us tonight, talking about this very important subject. And it's something that is near and dear to my heart. And I know that a lot of people would probably say, hey, listen, if Patrick ran for office, maybe I'd consider it. Guys, it's just not my time at this time. It just isn't. I really, really think basically we need to build the grassroots here in Missouri to take the state of Missouri, make sure it's constitutional, make sure it's steered properly. And there's lots of good people up in Jefferson City trying to do that work. But the more grassroots we have, the more, let's just say, the easier it is for them on the inside. Guys, it truly is fuel. We have a lot of good folks up in Jeff City. I could name their names. Really good people up there. And the grassroots is actually what gives them the power to do the great things up in Jefferson City. So the grassroots is very, very important. So, okay, Alex, do you have anything you'd like to say?
No, just that if you can, please run for public office to save our country.
Yep, save our country, starting by the city and county level all the way up to the state. And as soon as we have enough states fixed, then we can start fixing the country. Absolutely. Okay, well, thank you all for joining us tonight. Hey, we're back again. So we'll have more live streams. We'll have them more often again. I like doing the live streams very much. So watch for SEPA live stream. I may get a standalone video out about SEPA this weekend yet. I'm not sure yet. But there will be a live stream about SEPA. I just need a little bit more information before I do a live stream on that. So, all right. Well, thank you all again for joining. Let's see. Will not bow to tyranny says, appreciate being invited. It gives me hope seeing people of like minds uniting to find solutions to fight back against this tyranny. You bet. That's the only way it gets done, really. We have to unite. We have to drop the divisions. There's so many divisions out there. People that were never divided before are now divided over, they're divided over hypodermic needles now. And we've gotten to a very sad place in this country. We can't get anything good done because people are far too divided. And so, yep, and will not bow. Thank you. You're absolutely right. You're a great addition. I love your comments tonight, by the way. Thank you, Michelle, for saying that. And all right, you guys all take care. Thank you again for joining. We'll be in Discord for the next half hour. Hope to see you guys in Discord. The link is right down below in the description section. Also, the links for running for office and campaign announcement letters also linked down below. And we'll have more discussions about this in the future, gang. So once again, thank you for joining us. You guys all have a wonderful weekend. May God bless you. Hope to see you at Travis's meeting, by the way. Take care, gang.